Ladies and gentlemen, not only did the January committee in Congress, which found absolutely nothing in terms of an orchestrated effort by Trump to overthrow the government. So before the special counsel, there was an unconstitutional committee in Congress made up of only people who despise Trump, not one supporter of Trump. To say that Kinzinger and Cheney were Republicans and therefore it was a fair and balanced congressional committee into January is complete nonsense. They're never Trumpers, and they voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time, by the way, according to 538. But there was not one supporter of President Trump, yet he defeated Clinton in 2016. And there was not one supporter of President Trump on that congressional committee. That congressional committee led to a special counsel. There was no constitutional authority. There was nothing justifying the creation of a special counsel, according to former Attorney General Edwin Meese. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. To read my writing on the Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, other publications, go to hagoodman.com. Your Patreon support is so important. That's in the pinned comment below. And the super thanks is below as well. Hit subscribe, share this everywhere. The special counsel will either be disbanded before or after Trump regains the Oval Office, likely after. He could very well be convicted in this case. So the special counsel might make it to November, eventually convict Trump. Every single conviction, like I stated yesterday, the segment did very well. Like I stated yesterday in the video prior to this one, every single criminal charge is going to be overturned in some way. Every conviction will be overturned by the Supreme Court. We're already finding out the special counsel itself is not legal. It's unconstitutional because there were no statutes that authorized another investigation into January. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation found no evidence that Trump committed any crimes. You have right here the Daily Beast, okay? The Daily Beast, not a publication that supports Trump. It's like a Democratic Party aligned publication. FBI has found no evidence Trump or allies organized the chaos that day. No evidence, okay? And actually, this is the one headline that hasn't been altered. The AP and the Associated Press headlines also stated no evidence, and then they used the word scant evidence, okay? The Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Security, Central Intelligence, all the other intel agencies have an undisclosed budget of tens of billions of dollars, upwards of $100 billion for all of these agencies. You think maybe they'd know if Trump was actually a Kremlin operative or that he tried to overthrow the country? You would have to be a complete imbecile to believe that Trump tried to foment a rebellion with a speech that he said used the words peaceful and patriotic. So that's number one. Number two, Congress did not find any evidence that Trump tried to overthrow the government. Okay? He's not even being indicted by the special counsel with that, but here, they're trying to say that because he was speaking to his constituents, he wasn't doing the duties of a president, and therefore he should be indicted because he was campaigning or he was trying to contest results. He had every right to contest results. He had every right to campaign. Presidents always campaign their last 2 years in office. He had every right to speak to his constituents. So you don't cease to become president if you're doing something partisan, because presidents do something partisan every single day they're in office. So the special counsel, this special counsel also had two convictions or indictments overturned. One was the John Edwards case, and the other was Bob McDonald in Virginia. The Supreme Court overturned that unanimous decision, overturning a corruption conviction. That had more evidence than anything leveled at Trump. The reality, unfortunately, is that they've accused Trump of crimes. He didn't commit a crime. Not one crime. However, Hunter and Joe and others actually did commit crimes. So they cover that up. Here's the conclusion written by Edwin Meese, the former Attorney General. Not clothed in the authority of the federal government, Smith is a modern example of a naked emperor, improperly appointed. He has no authority to represent the United States in this court than Bryce Harper, Taylor Swift, or Jeff Bezos. The fact is sufficient to sink Smith's petition, and the court should deny review. We express no views on the merits issues addressed in Smith's unauthorized petition. Okay. Then if you look, the reason is Meese and Company noted that in the brief, Smith was appointed, quote, to conduct the ongoing investigation to whether any person, including Trump, violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere. But he didn't, though. He didn't. He went through the courts. The problem with people who despise Trump, when you give your soul to opposing Trump, he becomes Obi-Wan Kenobi. Trump is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. The more you try to hurt him, the stronger he becomes. See, Democrats never simply said, we don't like his policies, we don't like his personality, and left it at that. They said he's a 1930s and 1940s German leader, although he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and he's the greatest ally of people of my religion or background. Okay? Trump is the best president of my lifetime, by far. We didn't get into a never-ending military conflict with Trump. We did with President Obama. Bush was the worst president of all time. Biden's probably second all time in terms of completely miserable failures as president, but we had record low poverty with Trump. Every single lefty, progressive, Democrat, if they care so much about poor people, we had less poor people with Trump. Okay? And we didn't have interest rates through the roof. Now it's 6 to 8% to buy a home in terms of a mortgage. People can't afford that, especially in blue states where there are major cities where real estate is, extremely high in price. So when Democrats, what they do is they engage in this morally reprehensible, deceptive political maneuvering. They say, we're going to help you with student loan debt. And then they don't understand. And then people don't get how when they shut down economic activity because bureaucrats and other morons told them to shut down all economic activity in blue states and throughout the country, that caused inflation to go up. The inflation went up, and then they said, well, inflation is not a big deal. It's only temporary. Then they realized it wasn't. Then they raised interest rates through the roof. Now you can't buy a home because it's too expensive. And you're still paying your student loan debt. So it's like the same millennials who vote Democrat don't realize that they're voting against their interests, but that's today's Democratic Party and media. Trump, even though he's orange and mean, is much better for your pocketbook, for your future, for foreign policy, for domestic policy. Now Democrats are talking about unfettered immigration. Isn't that interesting? Wow, how Democrats just completely... Now Fetterman is a conservative. Isn't that interesting? He's no longer a progressive, apparently. I mean, they get played all the time, and it's like, that's another story. The point here is that Trump did not try to engage in a rebellion, and, quote, none of those statutes nor any statutory constitutional provisions remotely authorize the appointment of Attorney General of a private citizen to receive extraordinary criminal law enforcement power under the title of Special Counsel. There was no ongoing investigation. There was a congressional investigation that ended. And, of course, they had to... The congressional investigation itself wasn't constitutional. There was no supporter of Trump. Simply saying the two Republicans were there is completely meaningless. Okay, that's like saying Democrats don't think that JFK or other Democrats who don't fall along party lines, they don't think that JFK Jr. is a Democrat, really, even though he ran as a Democrat once. So, and he's a Kennedy. Same thing. They don't realize a Republican like Cheney and Kinzinger are not Trump Republicans. They're basically Democrats, even though they voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time. The point is, the congressional committee was unconstitutional, which led to the appointment of an unconstitutional special counsel. There was no need for a special counsel. They're trying to interfere in 24. while covering up their own criminal behavior with 50 intel officials that lie through their teeth. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. All of these things are going to lead to devastating political and legal defeats for Democrats, and they don't care. As Trump regains the Oval Office, thank God, God willing. Merry Christmas, everybody! Happy Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas, and God bless you all. Thank you.